good day. My name is Lee Elliott. I work at Revolutionary Clinic. I do the rest of reviews for strains. Today we'll be doing the Sour Amnesia, just to have a perspective and to see what it tastes like, what it feels like, and for you to have an idea of what it is. Then to see the buds, see what they look like. Just to feel them, have an idea of how dense they are to feel, see how the structure of them look. This one isn't bad. The smell on it has that soury smell to it with a little sweet in there. You smell it, you see what it is, how dense it is. You break it up, you see. I usually tend to take a couple of pieces out just to see the difference in them, because sometimes one doesn't really do justice to it. Start cutting up from there. I don't use a grinder. I prefer a scissors. I'd like to see what I'm doing usually. As you can see, there's a lot of orange pistils on here, really look nice. This is when the aroma of the flower start coming out by the cutting it up. And that's one of the things I prefer over my scissors over a grinder. But then I start smelling what it should be saying. Mainly most of the time when I'm doing a review, for me, one of the things to do is to have a dry pull. A dry pull usually gives you that taste, that real good taste just before it's lit, where you're still having that aroma of everything. This, you could taste all the sweetness in there. You could taste the citrus, a little bit of pine that's in there also. A little bit of sour, but I think that will show up, and also the earthiness will start to show up in the smoking of this one. That should at least start giving you that earthy taste that is inside, the dieselness of it also. Most of the time I start looking at materials on my computer just to find something that will start looking at the parentage, which I usually write down first and try to find the parents of both of them. That's when I start getting into it. Once I start smoking, then I start looking for the parents, where it comes from, if they've ever win any awards. Or sometimes a lot of them are strains that were from a long time ago, and like this one is resurrected back for us to have a taste of what was. And this one actually won the Sativa Cup for 2012 and was High Times Sativa of the Year. This is really a good strain. The Sour Amnesia was pretty much fast acting. I could start feeling it a little bit already, in the sense of wanting to get up and go do something because of the sativa. But it's just that is pretty nice. I like it a lot. One thing with this, as it says, the amnesia is part of it, where, as I said, it starts acting, where losing train of thought is something that probably will go with it. It's multitasking, but not really keeping too much on the same thing for a while. The taste stays because of the sweetness of it that it still carries. Is pretty nice. It starts making the fatigue part of it goes away. If you were ever drowsy in the morning and you want a lift, uplifting, cheerful, energetic is what I'm getting from this one. One of the effects with it is the creativity of it. my mind starts going as to what I should write. And just to have everything, this one screams a lot of nature. The anxiety part of it is pretty good because of the calming effect that this one produces. It's really nice for social anxiety. One of them is like mood swings. This really calms you in the sense of stress, tremor. A little bit of that just helps out. A little bit of the bipolar, a little depression, because this could bring your mood up a bit where you're not so down and get you to do stuff. Some of this, the genetics are originated from a Jamaican land strain and a South Asian strain. One of the things that I tend to want to do because of working in the medical industry is to always try to help. One of the aims of always doing a review is the ultimate goal is how can I help somebody in figuring out their needs in what they want and have an idea of when it comes in for me to tell them which one it wants. I love doing that. That is the part of my job that I love, where somebody comes in with a problem and I could tell them how to help themselves. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to really look at this video, just to have an idea of what I do a little bit. I figured out myself that I am a vessel for a plant to help, in the sense of trying to make people understand that some of our plants are talking to us and having a way that some of us listen and we can impart what we have understand from the plant to other people who don't. Learning this is just a part of it. There's other aspects that goes with our team at Revolutionary and the products that we do. Right now, the sour amnesia is pretty great. I love and implore that everybody should at least try any strain that you get. You never reject it. Your body will never know. So when you try it for yourself, you have an idea of what you like, what it tastes like. I'm Lee at the Revolutionary Clinic, and thank you for watching, and stay tuned to the next Stash Bash.
Welcome back to our Stash Bash. Thank you for joining us. We're just having a little conversation with Canna Mom tonight. I'm Barbara Van Hoosen, also known as Canna Mom, and I'm here with some really profoundly amazing people. Let me introduce our guests. First, we have Dr. Tischler, is a Harvard-trained physician, and he specializes in cannabis wellness. If you are thinking about becoming a patient in the Massachusetts Medical Marijuana Program, Dr. Tischler can certify you in the program. Welcome, Dr. Tischler.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you to my esteemed colleague, Corinne Cartwright. She is our marketing manager with Revolutionary Clinics. Welcome, Corinne.
Thanks for having me, Barb.
Thank you. And last but not least, the amazing Deidre Revito. Deidre works with our sister company, Licit Brands, and she is the wholesale sales manager. Welcome to Deidre.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all. So the reason I thought this would be a good conversation is because I speak to a lot of folks who will call Revolutionary Clinics, and they're a little bit surprised that if they don't have a medical card in Massachusetts, they can't purchase from us. Right now, all of our 3 locations in Somerville and Cambridge are open just to medical patients in the Massachusetts Medical Marijuana Program. So people will often say to me, well, I actually use this for medicine. I have severe insomnia, but I just thought, why? What's the point of getting a card? I'll just buy recreationally at an adult use dispensary. So I thought we'd open up the conversation of why should someone get a medical card? So Dr. Tischler, what do you tell patients that you speak to about?
Well, I think that there's sort of a whole range of reasons, and some of them, as they've been set up by the state, are financial reasons. For example, you don't have to pay the state cannabis-related taxes, which in Massachusetts works out to a pretty hefty 20%. And the medical dispensaries give priority to patients, particularly if they're a mixed, adult use and medical facility. There's some places that have special parking available. So there are a whole range of those sorts of things. But, owning my bias a little bit, I think, to your point about people who've sort of been self-treating for a long time, I think that healthcare is probably one of these things that isn't best done on the sort of do-it-yourself level. What I discovered is that there were a lot of people who weren't doing it the best way possible, and they weren't getting the best results possible. And so I really expected most of these folks to come in and be like, yeah, sure, just give me the card, whatever, but I had some really engaging and fruitful discussions with people and really was able to help them take sort of what they had always thought was the best way and actually make it into something that was much more effective for them. And the proof is that they're continuing to come back, which is really what we want from them, because we want to be able to continue to provide them that kind of care and relief.
Absolutely. And, it's really interesting to me. So, of course, I am the senior wellness consultant at Revolutionary Clinics, and I run the virtual consultation program that we have. So I have a team. You can schedule an appointment with myself or with Joe Casper, who's amazing, and one of my colleagues we've worked together now a little over 2 years. We are not clinicians. We do not have medical backgrounds or trainings. And so we very clearly set up a boundary when patients ask us medical questions. Really our role is to help people understand the program. Sometimes we talk to folks who aren't patients yet, and they just want to talk about, well, is it a hassle? What do I have to do? I think that telehealth has made things so easy for so many people now. But what I remind folks who are patients when they have a question about drug interactions or anything that really deserves speaking to a medical professional, I remind them that their cannabis clinician that certified them in the program is available to them. They're not just a one day only. Some, of course, are a bit more readily available than others. What I think is phenomenal about InhaleMD, Dr. Tischler, is that you do offer yourself that you are available to patients, not just that one day that you certify them, but for the entire year. And that's so important.
I think so. I mean, I set up the practice, very deliberately with that in mind, because, I looked at some of the ways that other practices were set up, and, if it's like, oh, it's $150 every time you come in kind of thing, then people aren't going to want to come in any more than they have to. So it's just a financial disincentive to do what it is that I would like them to do, which is to really ask me all the questions that they need answered, and to view me and the practice as their go-to resource, as opposed to sort of just kind of, again, getting the card and kind of winging it and hoping that that somebody at a dispensary somewhere knows enough to kind of give them the right answer. Hand in glove kind of relationship is what it's all about, and we need more of that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So one of the things that, I find is fascinating is that during the pandemic, I was just working at a dispensary, and to find during the pandemic, when everything was kind of shut down, lockdown, that medical marijuana is deemed essential. So patients who were already a part of the program had really no lapse in being able to get their product, but folks who were buying from adult use dispensaries could no longer do that for a period of time. So what we saw was an influx of people racing to get their medical cards because they had become so used to using cannabis really in a way that acted as medicine for them. And I personally don't have a problem with people using cannabis recreationally. If they're not using it to treat, their wellness, that's fine. I'm not, I'm not a judger of those things. But it was really fascinating to see how folks had no idea all of the advantages of being a patient.
As a company, I think that we've really realized that since there is no assistance for patients during this time, unfortunately, through the federal government and the state government, there's no insurance, there's no kickback, and it's not like you're getting any kind of help. We have noticed that a lot of our patients are on fixed income, or they do fall into a hardship category. We have a hardship and wisdom discount combined. So that is an automatic 10% off for these groups that do shop with us. Being a new patient comes with its perks as well, because Dr. Tischler, you did touch on the point that getting certified isn't that cheap either. And what we like to do is almost give back what that person has paid for their certification the first few times that they come to our dispensary. So as a new patient coming to Rev Clinics for the first time, you receive $200 off $400 of product. And that can be split up into 4 visits. And however you kind of want to set that up for yourself. It's a personal decision. If you can come in and can afford to spend that $400, you get that $200 off right off the bat. And, as a little thank you, we do love and cherish all of our loyal patients. And when you recertify, we also do want to take care of those patients as well. And once you do recertify within 30 days of that date, you are able to get $100 off $200 worth of medicated product. So we really are trying to be financially supportive in the market where not too much is offered to patients. It's a high priority to be able to offer this product, the consistency of the dosing of our products, that all goes hand in hand. And whatever we can do to make that bill a little bit less is our goal. We want everyone to be able to get their medicine, and that is a top priority for myself and Tom, our CMO, in our marketing department. And we're always trying to come up with new ways to really help our patients be able to access medicine.
The way you've set up that new patient deal where you give them a certain number of dollars off, but they don't have to spend it all at once.
Right.
Because I've seen other dispensaries where the incentive is sort of kind as it sounds. What it ends up doing is it means that the patient has to use that coupon right now. And what that means is not only does that mean potentially more money out of their pocket at the moment than they can, but the other thing is it makes them buy more than they need. And what I found is that when people buy more than they need, they use more than they need, which might be good for the bottom line, but it's not necessarily good for them medically. And so I think that the way you have that so that they can spread it out over several months, that's ideal.
I can't wait to get back to having face-to-face contact in our stores, because that's something that's so important and I think makes people feel really good and feel confident in the choice of where they're spending their money ultimately.
I think that's absolutely. But I also want to say that the opposite of that, which is that you guys do delivery, is remarkably important as well, because God knows there are patients who, their schedule doesn't allow, or their finances don't allow, or their mobility don't allow them to come into the brick and mortar.
Yeah, and we deliver 7 days a week. You have the ability to schedule your own time window. So the individual aspect of that plays into your convenience. We have recently launched 60-minute delivery out of our Somerville location. So we are really actively adding new zip codes to that. We are working on a very large expansion for our delivery business as a whole to really start expanding north, west, and south of Boston, because we get countless requests from people up by the New Hampshire border and down in Quincy and Braintree. those locations. And there really is a need for it. And we are really trying to fulfill that need, especially in this new normal we're living in, where, as you mentioned, some people just, one, don't feel comfortable coming out to the store, or they are immunocompromised. And it really is almost life and death for them if they were to contract this virus. So I think that working in tandem with Barb and having the virtual consultations aspect of our business has really set us apart, because those patients that normally would have never had any kind of contact before now have that personal contact with Barb or Joe and feel so much more confident in placing a delivery order.
As you're talking about getting out and getting out into the market, I'm sitting here introducing our brands to the market as well. And it all started right here with Dr. Tischler and our medical program. And I'm just excited to still be kind of a part of it with you guys.
I don't want to speak for them, but anybody that's tuning into Stash Bash, I'm sure that this is very interesting to you as well. But I don't think that we'll ever go back to the conventional way, so to speak. I think that telehealth is here to stay, and it's great to hear both perspectives and they're so positive, because for myself being in marketing, I know that it's been a huge not selling point. I don't know the right term to use, but we are one of the only dispensaries in the state of Massachusetts that is offering any kind of consultation service to the level that we do. And I think the way that we have structured our program with healthcare providers like yourself, Dr. Tischler, we value those relationships so much, because we would not be able to operate the way that we do if it wasn't for input and insight that you and your colleagues give us. So I think that it's a very symbiotic relationship, that it takes two to tango for sure in this day and age. And it's really, it makes me feel good about what we're doing, and how Revolutionary Clinics kind of stands apart from everyone else.
All said.
Yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't say it better myself.
Honestly, you stand out.
We ended.
Are we good? Would we like to wrap
Mic
it up?
drop.
All right. I think we covered everything. I think it was a great conversation. You know, like I said, I've heard nothing but good things from patients with telehealth. And, you know, Dr. Tischler, thank you so much for all you do to set patients up for success.
Yes,
So that
thank
they
you.
don't just come, you know, kind of flailing in the middle of the ocean.
Right. Nice to have them already in the lifeboat, you know, we don't have to throw them in there.
That's right.
They're already
All right.
coming in.
Well,
But
thank
yeah,
you,
it was an
everyone.
absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for including me. Dr. Tischler, it was wonderful chatting with you. I'm sure that we will chat more, and I'm excited to see what we can do in the future all together.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you at the next Stash Bash.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
so cool walking down the hallway. So we have 36 flower rooms here. We have about 578 square feet of bench space in every room. And we're doing a constant harvest where we're chopping down almost every single day. Wow, those are beautiful. So we veg those plants, we transport them, and then we take them down to the flower rooms and we set them there, flower. Alrighty, going in to see Gelato 33, the Larry Bird cut. So this is a cultivar called Gelato 33, otherwise known as the Larry Bird cut. It was pretty hard to get outside of California until recently. This plant likes low light conditions. It tends to be a little bit finicky towards the late end of flower. You have to be careful with the defoliation technique, but it ends up very, very stinky, very sticky, and almost entirely purple when it's finished. So I've grown this cultivar probably more than any other strain, and it's always a crowd favorite. You do a super cut of us all taking off our booties. So this is our mother room, where our head of Mother and Genetics, Kayvon, takes care of our different pheno hunts. This is of course Wedding Crasher, which is one of the plants that we just checked out in the other room. As you can see, it's vigorous as a mother all the way through flower. So we'll take small cuttings off of these, we'll root them, and then those will be our new plants that go into flower.
So right here we have, in the front there are a couple benches of Stardog, but the rest of the benches here are Purple Pineapple Express. And this plant is beautiful, has a lot of vigor, and you know, very, very uniform, you know, very, very good phenotype. And what I really like about it is the contrast between it has very, very light pistils, and it starts to get a lot purple, or you know, more purple bracts as it finishes. And you know, you can already see here, you know, the crystals forming on the sugar leaves. It's still pushing out the pistils, you know, still very, very early in flower here.
A few of these cultivars, if we were to put them in living soil, like we're discussing, we're going to end up with really high terp numbers, really high quality herbs. So this is Banana Punch, one of the most prolific strains here at Rev. Smells like rotten bananas in the best possible way. So Banana Punch has a little bit of mix of funk and gas, which is what most breeders are going for these days. We're trying to bring back the old skunk strains. Yeah. And this definitely has a lot of that skunk funk in it. But at the end of the day, you end up with fluorescent purple, even occasionally pinks. Wow. It's a very classic OG. This is Motor Breath. This is harkening back to one of the original OG cuts, the Josh D cut out of Southern California. As Andrew was saying, it has very strong notes of fuel. This is an extremely terpy plant, heavy in myrcene and pinene, and limonene that actually carries through to the end of the joint. This is personally one of my favorite plants here. Here we go. This is one of my favorite cultivars to grow in the entire world. It's Wedding Crasher. It was bred by Seed Junkie. It is a very difficult cultivar. It took a while for me to dial it in. It is one of the most amazing terp profiles out there. It smells like rotten Gatorade. Smell it right through the mask, just like the Motor Breath, just like the Banana Punch. It gets quite unruly. So you have to have a certain type of defoliation technique with this, but it is one of the highest yielding cultivars on the market. Anything from Seed Junkie is a winner. This is where all the ganja comes once it's been chopped down and dried. Right now we're waiting for this to come back from testing. Testing has taken a long time in Massachusetts right now, but we keep it in here, burp it occasionally, keep it wrapped in bags, check on it, use Boveda packs to preserve terpenes, and we end up with a pretty high quality product. So this is some of our high quality flour. This is untrimmed, it's been dried. It's still towards the end of the curing process, but it's mostly been cured. And we take this and then hand trim it and put it in our packages and send it out to our customers and patients.
What I'm looking for in the trim room is I want to see the intact pistils. So, you don't want to be knocking off all the trichomes. You want the intact heads on the stalks. And what we're really trying to train people is to be very, very delicate. And just to take off really, the sugar leaves just with the fine tips of their scissors. And people can really increase their speed very, very quickly.
One of the most important parts about trimming a bud is maintaining the natural look of the flower.
This is keef that we're pressing in the rosin. We're doing 2 different strains right now, Star Dog and Black Mamba. So we're mixing them together. It's a new product that we're working on. This is live sugar. Purple Pineapple Express, one of our new strains. These are floss with various oils for making distillate, just different stages in the process. You can see it slowly spurting out here. Here we've got some chocolate oranges sugar in the oven, purging out ethanol. This is a roto evaporator. It basically purges out ethanol from our concentrate, so it's a more concentrated solution in here.
So I'm Aileen Zolbrot. I'm a sex therapist, and I've been doing this for over a quarter of a century. And I have all these clients and individuals who do not enjoy their sexuality. That's truly heartbreaking to me, because I think sex is absolutely wonderful, and it's something you can do when you don't have any money. And it's something you could do when you're trapped inside during a pandemic for now. And it makes people feel more alive, and people who have trouble with their sexuality actually feel defective. So it's worth doing anything you can to help yourself learn how to enjoy sex more. And cannabis is actually a wonderful tool for that.
Hey everyone, this is Sherry Tuckus, the registered nurse from the Green Nurse. And the Green Nurse is a whole health consulting agency of registered nurses who are also medical cannabis patients. We are here to educate and empower patients to make decisions that are best for you. And so what we focus on is the endocannabinoid system and how that works and how cannabis can play a part in regulating that most important system in our body. So we're going to get into that in a minute. So one of the things we do as cannabis nurses is we work on mind, body, and spirit. So when patients come to us, they come to us for different reasons. And one of the reasons they come to us is they want to learn how to have an adult use sensual experience with their loved one or with their partner. And so as we're teaching about the endocannabinoid system is the largest neuroregulatory system in our body. It regulates our reproductive system, and it is truly beneficial in optimizing health and wellness. And there's a lot of science behind how cannabis and how sex can actually benefit your life.
I thought it would be a good idea to talk about some of the reasons that cannabis can really help when relationships get stalled. I've spent a lot of my life talking about how much trauma there is actually in the population. And all kinds of trauma land on people sexually and fix it so that they're not in their bodies. So that isn't just overt sexual abuse, but it's also kinds of what I call developmental sexual trauma. Things like physical abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect, which fix it so that people are not that comfortable with touch. And I really feel like cannabis can help with that. It can help with the exploration of that.
Absolutely. And the thing that people need to understand is cannabis can help us move through the inhibitions that keep our feet on the brakes. Cannabinoids can help lift the brake pedal so we can step on the gas. So what does that really mean? So there's two types of sexual systems. There's the sexual excitation system. Let's put the gas on, let's go. And so all of that sexual relevant stimuli in our field of awareness helps to get us excited. So the sexual inhibition system, nope, brakes on, not going to do it. What causes the sexual inhibition? Stress, pain, fear, past trauma, sexual trauma. And what's really, really interesting is truly right now, we are in a state, this pandemic, we are all being traumatized by something. Our dramas and traumas are coming up to be looked at. We're not able to be touched as often. We can't hug as much as we want. I've been working with a canosexual. Her name is Ashley Monta. She's absolutely amazing. And she's a woman that she's also a trauma victim, and she was raped. And basically she has developed this program to help women work through the trauma, help to get comfortable with their bodies again in using cannabis. So she calls it masturbation coaching. Make a date with yourself and take the time to learn about the plant in your body, right? So, and there's a lot of different things that she talks about, and I thought that they made sense. So literally, if you're a new cannabis user, you really don't want to use edibles right away. If you're a seasoned user, edibles might be a little bit more appropriate. Inhalation often is the easiest way to titrate and is quick, right? We like tinctures, we like low doses of THC. Topicals we love as nurses to massage touch. And basically the other thing that's really important too is using a lot of lubrication. What people don't understand is that when women aren't wet, that does not determine arousal. And that is a statement of fact, scientifically backed. So everyone should be using lubrication and even learning how to explore that with your own body. And the difference between men and women when it comes to ingesting and using this plant, I find it very, very fascinating because it is very, very different. In my experience, and the science has shown in working with patients and couples, is men generally have a lower tolerance. Women have a higher tolerance, so women generally need more tolerance breaks. And the reason why, it has to do with our hormones. Estrogen regulates a lot of how our body responds to cannabinoids. So men don't have the monthly fluctuation in hormones. The testosterone production can decrease with too much THC. So that's really, really important for people to know. With women, estrogen regulates an enzyme that breaks down our own bliss molecule. right? So when we have low estrogen levels in our body, it breaks down our own bliss molecule faster, which means our own anandamide or our own THC like molecule is being metabolized out very quickly. So women, when they have low estrogen levels, they need more THC. All right. So how about 10 benefits of having sex? I have a nice handy dandy list that I'd love to go over. The benefits of having sex. So number 1, sex relieves headaches. Every time you make love, it releases the tension in the veins of the brain. How cool is that? Really good. Number 2, sex, a lot of sex can clear the stuffy nose. This is really cool. Sex is a natural antihistamine. It helps to fight asthma and spring allergies. Find that fascinating. Making love is a spectacular beauty treatment, right? Scientists have discovered that when a woman has sex, it produces a large amount of estrogen that gives that shine and softness to her face and her hair and her skin, which I find is fascinating as well. Sex, as you said before, is one of the safest sports. Making love can strengthen the muscles of the male and female body. It's more enjoyable than swimming 20 laps in the pool, and there's no need for any equipment except for your own body. That's really great. Number 5, making love slowly and smoothly in a relaxed way decreases skin issues, reduces the chances of suffering from dermatitis, skin rashes, and acne. The sweat that is produced when you're making love can cleanse the pores and make your skin glow. Right? The spores, I call them spores. So making love slowly and smoothly in a relaxed way reduces the chances of suffering dermatitis, skin rashes, and acne. The sweat produced cleanses the pores and makes your skin glow. Number 6, love making can burn all the calories you've accumulated during the romantic dinner before bedtime. 7, sex is a divine remedy for depression. It releases endorphins into the bloodstream, creating a sense of euphoria and leaving men and women with the feeling of being unique. 8, sex is a tranquilizer and a muscle relaxant to a safer world. It is 1,000 times more effective than Valium, for sure. And a sexually active body releases more pheromones. And pheromones I look at as your human perfume, which I love. Kissing each day will keep you more time away from the dentist. So kissing has been shown, it's an art, which makes the cleaner teeth as saliva reduces the amount of acid that causes tooth decay. So this prevention eliminates many problems in addition to offering healthy breath. So really, really cool. So the benefits of having sex, you can imagine, combine cannabinoids with having the 10 benefits of having sex. You're truly working on your mind, your body, and your spirit all at the same time.
There you go.
There you go. And there you have it. Basically, using cannabis mindfully. So as I'm sure you will agree, that it's really important that we have set an intention, use it intentionally, create context. It matters, and truly understanding how your body responds, so having that ability to learn about yourself, mental, emotional, spiritual, and your physical reaction to cannabinoids will truly help you to have a better experience.
Everything litty, I love when it's hot. Turned to the city, I broke out the notch. Got some more millies, I keep me a knot. I created history, it made me a lot.
Welcome back, everybody. Chefish TV. I am your host, Chef Vladimir. You guys may know me from Food Network. I've done a couple of shows on the Food Network, one being Cooks vs. Khan, Season 3, Episode 1. And I'm here to show you guys something really fascinating to make. It's a dope dish, a nice recipe, and it also involves cannabis. Yes, cannabis. I've got something special for you guys today. We're going to do a steak and potatoes dish, and it's going to be an infused sweet chili sauce we're going to lay right on top. I've got Revolutionary Clinics I Am Edible honey, so I'm going to use that today, and we're going to make something nice. So keep your eyes out, check out the recipes on the bottom, and we'll see you soon. First thing I want to do is I'll make sure I season up my steaks first, because we want to make sure that it's infused with a whole bunch of flavors. It's powerfully impacted, so that when you cut through with it and you take your first bite, it's just a robust amount of flavor you're getting. So I'm gonna grab my salt. We're gonna lay that on top, if you see. Let me move this here just so you can see the front through shot. Put these over here. I'm gonna put a nice amount of salt on there, because most of the time your salt will get lost in either your oil or your other seasoning. So you want to make sure you pat that in. One thing I usually do is I pat it. You want to make sure it's in there. Grab a black pepper and repeat the process. Don't be afraid to add that on there. What I like to do with my steaks, I like to keep it simple. Salt and pepper, it goes a long way. I like to let my ingredients speak. I let everything else do the talking. Now you just flip it to the other side and you repeat the same process. Alright, so now that we have both of our steaks nicely seasoned with our salt and pepper, generously seasoned with our salt and pepper, I'm just going to take our steaks and I'm just going to put them on the side. I'm going to let them just sit, get to room temperature, and allow the seasoning to kind of settle in while I get ready to take care of my parsley, my pearl onions, my green onions. But first, I got to make sure I clean my board, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. You got to make sure you clean. That's the first order in the kitchen. Cleanliness is close to godliness. So I'll see you in just a minute. Let me take care of my board. See you soon. But you'll just repeat this process. So I just do this. This is like the hardest onion to peel. They're so annoying, but somebody's got to do it, right? So we cut it. Cut down the middle. And then I'll just pull off the skin. You can get the first layer off. Doesn't really matter. I like pearl onions because they're not strong in flavor. It's not a strong bite as a regular onion or a red onion. These pearl onions are just nice, just the right bite, just the right bite. All right. Just peel a little bit more. I'll take that here because that's a bad piece. I've got my onions. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my potatoes, cut one down the middle. Cut it down the middle one more time. I'll move this over so you guys can kind of see. And as you can see, it's separated. And you just want to get nice little dice cuts into it, all right? One. We're going to do that. Then we're going to throw our potatoes into a nice hot boiling bath of water. We're going to let it blanch for about, say, 4 or 5 minutes. Then we're going to take it out, because after we cook our steak, we're gonna throw some butter in the pan. So I just want to make sure all my flavors together. I'm gonna grab my parsley. Got a nice bunch here. So this is what we call a chiffonade in the culinary world. Chiffonade means you're gonna take a bunch of your herbs, you're gonna pinch it together, you're gonna roll it tight, get it nice and tight, and you're gonna kind of flip them into each other, right? And after you get a nice little ball, you take your knife, make sure your fingers are curled in. You don't wanna cut your fingers off. You don't want any blood on your board, and you want to make sure you hold your knife. As you can notice, I'm holding my knife in between my thumb and my index finger, just so I can hold the balance right at the base, right at the handle here. You take that, never leave your knife, never let the tip of your knife come off the board. And if you watch closely, you just want to nicely cut it. Nice little shavings there. And I'm cutting really, really close to my finger, but I've got the tip of my finger curved in, just so I can avoid it from being cut. Look how beautiful is that. So I take that, I get another bunch, one more, and I'm just gonna keep chopping. And now that I got all of my herbs and spices together, we're gonna get into the kitchen and we're gonna start throwing down on that stove. So keep an eye out. Chef is coming back and we're gonna have some beautiful steak. See you soon. Peace. Chef's TV, we're back. Thank you for joining me. Today we're gonna make a nice, like I said before, we were making a nice steak and potatoes dish, and it's going to be involving a beautiful sweet chili infused honey. Thank you to Revolutionary Clinics for providing the I Am Edible honey to get me to get real nice tonight with my steak and potatoes. So the first order of business, as you can see, we got a nice pot of boiling water. I'm gonna add some salt in there because you want to make sure you get the flavor for your potatoes. So about 2 tablespoons of salt. I'm gonna grab my potatoes and I'm just gonna throw them in. And I'm gonna let it continue to boil. Bring the heat up. All right, so like I was saying, we're making some steak and potatoes, and I'm gonna make a beautiful sweet chili sauce using Revolutionary Clinics I Am Edible honey. But first of all, we're gonna get the potatoes. As you can see, the potatoes are starting to boil. We're gonna let it boil for about 5 minutes, but while that's going, I wanna throw my steaks in. So prior to getting the steaks, I have this beautiful cast iron skillet, which was on a very low heat just to get the skillet really hot. What you want to do is you want to make sure your skillet is super hot enough that when you throw your steaks on it, it doesn't stick to the pan, one, and that it gets a nice brown coloring onto the skin. What we call that is called the Maillard effect. The Maillard effect means that the heatness of the pan is causing the brownness of the skin to kind of get real nice and crispy. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add this up. I just brought the temperature up to my skillet. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more. You usually want the good sign to knowing when your steak is ready is usually your pan starts to lightly kind of smoke, and that's a beautiful sign. That's when you know you're ready to throw your steak on there. I'm gonna add oil. Let's start with about half of this oil. Alright. Get my little thing there. And what I want to do is I want to spread this around. Alright. We'll get that in there now. Bring the heat up. And as you can see, my potatoes are ready to go. So I'm going to give it about 2-3 more minutes in here. Then I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to let them cool off and sit and ready for the steak because I want to build a lot of flavors with the steaks. First steak, huh? Oh, did you hear that, guys? It's working. It's working. Put my other steak in. Yeah. That's come see this. Come listen to this. Man. Yeah. So, that's right. So, what we got to do here is basically let the steak sit for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, flip it, and repeat the same process. But when we flip it, we're going to add our butter, we're going to add our onions, we're going to add our scallion, and we're just going to baste it in the butter sauce and all that. Then we're going to add our potatoes afterwards. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Shepherd's TV, coming soon. All right, so now we're going to make our sweet chili sauce. As I said earlier, it's going to be a nice, beautiful, infused, cannabis-infused, THC-infused honey from Revolutionary Clinics. Basically, I said I have 40 milligrams. This is going to be really quick. All you got to do is just take your 40 milligrams. You're going to have some red wine vinegar. You're going to add about probably 2 tablespoons. There you go. You're going to get some Italian seasoning. This is a blend. You're going to put that in there. Just to give it some of that earthiness. All right? And I've got some red pepper flakes. Just to add some of that heat. I like a lot of heat, so I'm going to kind of pack it up in there. All right. And we're just going to whisk it. All right. You don't need to heat it up or do anything. You're just going to keep it like that, and we'll be all set. We'll see you soon. Shefish. Okay, so we've got our butter. What I want to do is I want to add my pearl onions. throw them in there because I just want to add the flavor. Okay. So onions, and I'm gonna follow with my green onions or my scallions. All that. I'm gonna just marry all the flavors together inside of there. All right. Yeah, let that cook. All right. Throw a little bit of that parsley in there, as you can see. Then we're gonna let that sit, and in about 5 minutes we'll be ready to plate. I'm gonna throw my potatoes in here just to kind of soak up all that buttery flavor, and then we'll be ready to eat. Chef's TV. We'll see you soon. We're gonna let the steaks rest for a few minutes. We're gonna let this rest, and then after that, what I want to do is I want to follow through with the potatoes that we blanched earlier. We take the potatoes, and I'm just gonna throw them right in here. I'm gonna add a little bit more parsley, and we're just gonna let this potato kind of get all in there. Alright. Potatoes are gonna soak all those flavors that was at the bottom of the skillet. So I'm gonna get it all together while the steak is resting. All I want to do is get my plate ready because my stomach is growling and I'm ready to chow down. I bet you are too. I bet your stomachs are hungry. You can hear the kids in the background. They're starving too. They're ready to jump me. So let me get to the plate. I'll see you soon. Guys, Chef Indeed is done with the dish. I know you guys enjoyed seeing it. So the only thing left to do is to plate. What I want to do is I want to check my steak right now. Make sure that the temperature's right. Always when you have your steak, you want to cut on the bias. All right. I'm just going to cut some nice thin pieces. Alright. See, that's about medium well. I like my steaks to be a little bit more rare, but to each is alright, so we got that there. I'm gonna start planing my potatoes. Down here. And the rest you guys can see what's going on. Gotta see the beauty in this. Put that here. Shout out to the kids in the background. You know, when Uncle comes around, everybody want to eat. So, just put that there. Take my steak. Put that on top. Take some of this revolutionary cannabis infused, THC infused honey. Drizzle this little sweet chili right on top. Okay. Salt ain't got nothing on this. I like revolutionary things. I bet you do too. I'm just gonna kind of drizzle my little garnishes that I made earlier. Just kind of put that on top. Put that there. Pipe up. And voila! Chef Indeed. Steak and potatoes. Revolutionary Clinics, cannabis infused honey, and just a night of fun. We're gonna see you soon. I'll see you at the table. Peace.
Blessings sent from above. 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 Blessings sent from above.
sorry. I need another drink.